Hello, Smithtown Christian School. So we went to distance learning, but you guys aren't going to miss out on your chapel experience. So Mr. White and I decided that for chapel this week, we're going to talk about just a couple different things. We want to give you some updates. We want to talk about experiences with Christmas because obviously we're in the Christmas season.
Yep.
And we want to let you into our lives a little bit. Because Smithtown Christian School, we get to live life with you guys. We get to live life one-on-one with you guys. So what better way to do that than to share what it was like growing up for us around Christmas time and what it's like or what it's going to be like totally different this year. So before I start, I know I mentioned updates.
Yes.
Everyone is asking, and I know Mr. White, you've been involved for however many years this has been happening. You have been involved in the volleyball tournament before Christmas extravaganza.
Yeah, this is definitely a new year, 2020. We definitely, the teachers look forward to the volleyball tournament, but
mainly because you guys win most years.
Most years we win. We got smacked around last year, but this year we were coming for Josh Mangum and John Evers. So we will see you guys soon. We're going to come back with a mega team, and we'll try to take you guys down. But you guys were very good. We were looking forward to playing you guys. Yeah. But yeah, Mr. Carozzo, I mean, what's the deal with the volleyball tournament? What do we got?
So the biggest thing is we're working through logistics. COVID has put a damper on basically everything around us, as you know, as I know. So as long as we're able to, based on New York State, based on Suffolk County, based on federal guidelines and laws and all these crazy things through the CDC, we are looking at either Easter break, right before Easter break, having I guess we'll call it the Easter extravaganza.
Okay.
And of course I have to say extravaganza because that's the way I say it. Or right before even Christmas. Wow. Winter break in February, which is right around the corner.
Cool.
So we're going to see what we can do. I know I already spoke to our student government. So hey, students, shout out to your student government because they're on top of this, guys.
Woo woo.
Yeah. So the plan is to continue that, to be able to do those things, to still be able to have those. We're just going to delay it a little bit.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Which is all good.
We adjust on the fly.
Yeah. And I know, we were talking about this. The reality of it is we're really only doing distance learning for 8 days before Christmas and then possibly only 5 after the New Year.
Yeah. It's not that bad.
So it's not that bad. I think it's going to be awesome. I think, just being available to our students, we're just here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what we were talking about earlier, as we're coming to the Christmas season, what were some things that we'll say little Mr. White and little Mr. Carozzo?
I haven't grown since I was 5, so I'm still little.
You know what? I grew a little bit. I graduated high school at 119 pounds, so I did put on a little bit of weight.
There we go.
But yeah.
Well, I'll start with this. When I was little, I mean, my parents went above and beyond. Okay. The cookies, the milk. Yeah. I mean, the whole. I was telling my students the other day they put a boot down by the fireplace and then they put soot and ash all around the boot. And then they would actually have my neighbor get an extension ladder in the back where there was no windows, and he would climb onto the roof and he would stomp his feet, and my parents would just wake me up and go, he's here, and I'm like, no way, he's here, and I would just miss him every year. Yeah. But I mean, my dad would be in the kitchen making breakfast, and just the nature of the game. My dad worked at a restaurant, so Christmas Eve he'd come home somewhat later, but him making breakfast was like a delicacy for us. So I mean, French toast, bacon, sausage, the whole nine. Yeah. So that I remember, and we would all have matching pajamas. The White family would have matching pajamas, and we just always had warm Christmases at home. We didn't really spend Christmas with the extended family. we just got into Christianity when I was 7 or 8 years old, and unfortunately, a lot of my extended family, they were consumed with other things, and eventually, the holiday season led to a lot of just substance stuff, and my mom just wanted to kind of keep the kids away from that. So we really learned to come together as a pack of 5, and it was just really warm, and we would always just wake up and thank the Lord for just really having that day where Jesus came into the world as flesh to obviously take on a brutal death and be crucified so that we can live forever with him. It was just an awesome day dedicated to family and Jesus. Yeah. So
you kind of answered one of my questions that I was, as you're talking, I'm like, you know what? I don't even know. How many siblings do you have? So you had said the White family is a pack of 5.
Yeah.
So you have 2 other siblings.
I have 2 younger brothers.
Okay.
And we're all 7 years apart. Okay.
So your youngest brother was born when you were 14?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was wild. I remember days where, I played varsity soccer when I was 14 years old. Yeah. And my mom would be dropping me. Yeah, I know. I know.
Sorry.
Shout out to Christian Kelly. No, my mom would drop me off in the morning, and I remember she was pregnant, and she had my little brother in the car, and it was just like, it was those days where we had indoor practices in the middle of February, and she was just a trooper doing whatever she could for her oldest son while she was about to give birth to my youngest brother. It was wild, but 7 years apart. We all went through different stages of life.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, okay, so this is not related to Christmas at all, but did you change your youngest brother's diapers?
Oh, both of them.
Both of them, really?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Whenever I have kids, I think, not that I know anything about parenting. I'll say that right now.
Even when you are a parent, you know nothing about parenting. Just a heads up.
I think I will be well versed in high chairs, baby strollers, joggers, changing diapers, burping, So
and when that day comes, I'll give you a refresher course.
Yes, yes.
So oldest of 3, spent time with family. Dad cooked Christmas morning.
Smell of bacon's awesome, isn't it?
It is. It is. So. On the other side, not on the other side at all. No, mine was crazy family related too. But, my last name ends in a vowel, right? So it was the Christmas Eve fish fiesta or whatever you'd call it, right? Over at my grandmother's house. And every single time I smell now oil, like, deep fry oil, I just think of Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Because even before that, my mom would make rice balls at home, deep fry them in oil. Then we'd go over to my grandmother's house, and she'd be making fish and all this other, every seafood possible, and everything would be deep fried. So every single time I smell deep fried,
brings you back.
It brings me right back there.
That's awesome.
And we had a tradition where I don't even know where this came from, but my brother one year just decided, no, we need to be home by midnight every year. Every year. We need to be home by midnight. And so we did. But the other tradition was we got one present on Christmas Eve, but that present was always a new pair of pajamas.
Okay.
They weren't necessarily matching. And I have one brother. He's 2 years older than me.
Okay.
So they weren't necessarily matching. Probably some years they were, but I don't know. I don't really remember that. But those are the pajamas that we'd wear. And then in the morning, we would see the presents all out by the tree that weren't there the night before.
Yep.
And there was a certain point where my brother and I, we woke up early and my parents were still asleep. And we were like, all right, well, we're not going to wake them. And we, from that year forward, started organizing all the gifts. So
type A personality.
I mean, like,
here's dads, here's moms.
And I don't even think I was able to read at all at this point. And my brother was maybe only able to read like certain letters.
Okay.
But he knew the M was mom.
Yep.
The D was dad. The A was Anthony for him. And then the R was Rob for me. And it was like, all right. And he would just say, oh, put this in that pile, this in that pile, this in that pile.
That's awesome.
And every year, like, that's what we would do. So, yeah, weird little traditions. Oh, and my family on Christmas morning would record we'd videotape.
Oh, nice.
This
nice
was like,
home movie.
Yeah, these are like old school home movies.
Yep.
But my dad had this big old halogen light. Because my dad always does everything above and beyond. Because that's just who he is, right? But he had this big old halogen light that like he would turn it on. It's like, now Christmas can start. Christmas would start. Halogen light. We'd pray and we'd open up gifts. And then when you turn off the halogen light, you're like, all right, I'm blind.
Yeah.
I'm blind because
you see the spots.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah.
That's awesome. Well, so we mentioned what Christmas was like for us then. Obviously, we fast forward. Those were in the 80s and 90s, and now it's 2020, and again, it's crazy year. So what does Christmas look like for you this year?
Okay, so Christmas this year, my wife and I are spending an exorbitant amount of money on Kaylin. Because she's right now our only child.
Yeah.
And we're just spoiling the heck out of her. Last year, she was slowly getting to the point where she was having fun ripping open gifts. And this year, she really knows what they are. But last year, we were able to put all the gifts underneath the tree because she was, I guess, what was she, 12, 13, 14, 15 months or so? So last year, we put all the gifts underneath the tree beforehand, and she wouldn't go to them. She wouldn't mess with the tree. We were good to go.
I was just about to ask you, is she taking the ornaments off the tree or pulling on the lights?
We haven't set up the tree yet.
Okay.
But we're anticipating it. So we think we're going to put a big old gate around the tree.
Nice.
And either from a certain point down, we're not going to have any ornaments, or they're all going to be plastic.
Okay. Smart.
And probably Toy Story, because that's her favorite movie lately. But this year, we're really looking forward to her just being able to just rip everything open and have a lot of fun with it.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure as a dad, it's going to be, and for Kim, it's going to be awesome to watch that.
It's amazing. And I think I think the biggest struggle, and this is such a first world problem, right, is that we say, oh, we want to get this for her, and then like we'll both get it, not telling the other person that we got it.
Yep.
And it's like, all right, well, one of us needs to return this through Amazon, because that everybody's doing Amazon shopping.
Yep.
At least our family.
Absolutely.
Is. Yeah. But it's funny. Like that's our issues this year.
Yeah.
Normally we would go out on Christmas Day and we'd spend time with. I have 7 nieces. Oh, excuse me. I have 7 nieces and nephews on my wife's side. And 1 nephew and 1 niece on the way on my side. So normally Christmas Day, we tend to go to the Leahy's side. 7 of them and so forth. But this year, just with everything happening, my father-in-law has some medical issues that cause him to be at above standard risk, right? So we may not get together with my mother-in-law and father-in-law, but just thinking through the new kind of Christmas memories that we're going to have this year. They're like, we're on the phone with them the other day. Oh, what can we do? And I'm like, hey, I know technology, right? Let's set up a big old webcam. Let's get Mima and Peepaw, that's my mother-in-law and father-in-law for the grandkids, on the webcam on like a 65, 75-inch screen at my sister and brother-in-law's house, right? And it's like, that'll be fun.
Yep.
That'll be a lot of fun. But we were talking earlier, about crazy memories.
Yeah.
Christmas of 2009, right before we went into 2010, I was in Iraq. And there's a picture, and if I can find it, I'll post it. Guys, I'll post it, of my brother walking around with a laptop, right? And this was before Zoom. So this was Skype.
Okay.
So he's walking around with a laptop, right? And he's like, oh, okay. Rob, let's say hi to grandma. Let's say hi to Aunt so-and-so, Uncle so-and-so, your cousins. And he's just walking around the house. And he looks like a Teletubby. I was about to say big old Teletubby, but he's nowhere close to being fat. Like, he's like 6'2" and skinny. Carozos tend to be skinny. And he looks like a Teletubby with my face on his stomach. Seriously, I need to find that picture and post it. But
absolutely.
These are the awesome memories that we really, that I'm having. I could focus on the fact that, I wasn't around. I was in Iraq and I wasn't there and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
But like just to focus our thoughts, right, on the good things.
Yeah.
These are new memories that, when we're old, although me and you are old, when our students are old, and we're a lot older, then we get to say, do you remember when?
Back in 2020.
Yeah. So what about you? So what? Your first Christmas married. What is that going to look like?
First Christmas married. You know what? It's a little bittersweet because this is so my parents moved to Vermont 2 years ago.
Okay.
So we visited them last year, but obviously with the restrictions and everything, we really don't know what we're going to do this year. It all depends on school, it depends on my wife's job. So I might not be able to see my family my side of the family this Christmas. I'll see my middle brother. He's in Queens, so he might come out for Christmas Eve.
Okay.
But you know what? Like you said, we're going to focus on the positive and being joyful and being thankful for what we have. So it is my first year married, and you know what? I told my wife, I just can't wait to spend the morning with you.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to wake up, we're going to go down, we're going to obviously the presents are going to be under the tree, but we're just going to turn on some worship music, and we're going to have breakfast together, and it's going to be the start of, like you said, new traditions, which we're looking forward to. We have a nice little cute apartment, and we honestly, we were talking last night, and we just couldn't be more thankful of where we are, who we're with, the way that God has protected us and kept us employed this whole season. So we have a lot to be thankful for, and my parents will be okay. You know, they're troopers, and we'll see them whenever the lockdowns lift. But I'm really excited to be husband and wife, on Christmas morning.
Yeah. And, you're going to do as Scripture says and make the coffee, right? Because
definitely make it. Yes, Hebrews. Hebrews. Yep.
I'm a dad, so I can make that joke.
That's okay.
Eventually,
that's all right. That's all right. Yeah, eggs, bacon. I'm gonna try to kind of incorporate what my dad did.
I was just about to say
make the French toast and everything. So
that sounds awesome.
Yeah,
just to pass on those traditions of this is what the white men do.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So you know what the cool thing is, right? So we were talking about focusing our thoughts on the present. We've talked about that in the past, and I know you have a scripture. Right?
Yeah.
So let's shoot that out there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, for those that are listening in our audience, I wanted to just leave you with something encouraging. So, if you're taking notes or writing anything down, or you want to stick something in your phone, just know that number one, that God is our strength during this time, and the scripture verse that I have here is, God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea. And you could even add in, though 2020 has been hectic and coronavirus and all that, its waters roar and foam and the mountains quake with their surging. But God is an ever-present help in time of trouble. So for those students that are, I guess, worrying, anxious, how am I going to do this? I go to school to escape my problems. Just know that God is your strength, and that it specifically says to do not worry. And then the second thing is to turn your thoughts, which is in Colossians chapter 3, verse 2. It says, since then you have been raised with Christ. Set your hearts on things above where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things above and not on earthly things. And I think that's going to be tough this year with Christmas coming up, because you have all the material things that are coming in. You have like every other commercial is a new car commercial. Every other commercial is like the new toy or new game or this or that. So
the iPod Pros came out.
Yeah, the iPod 13 or whatever. But it's super important. It's where that battle between the spiritual man and the flesh man go to war of material or heavenly things.
Yeah.
Do I focus on the physical of what's going on, obviously the election, the race, the shape that our country is in, or do I know that, hey, I am a chosen person by God. I am holy and sanctified, and God has declared me good and righteous. So it's really important that we win the battle against our flesh man to make sure that we see spiritually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just set your mind on things above and just know that God is our strength during this time. And again, like you said, we have, 12 school days?
Something
I mean,
like
guys, you can do this. You can do this. Just pay attention. Don't be late to class, especially history.
Yeah. And turn your cameras on.
Yes.
All right, enough of that. But yeah, focusing on the present.
Yeah.
We've gone over this over and over. Focusing on the present. Don't think about the past. Don't worry about the future. The future will worry about itself.
Yes.
And I don't even want to say we'll worry about it, but we'll be present in that future when it is the now.
Yeah.
Focusing our thoughts, being able to just say, you know what, God, thank you for everything. Because you mentioned something earlier that was absolutely beautiful, and I needed to hear it. So I want to thank you. Just remembering that the name Emmanuel means God with us. That through all of this, I just mentioned, you just mentioned, you're not going to be with mom and dad. I'm not going to have my mother-in-law and father-in-law on Christmas Day, right? But no matter who we're with or we're not with, or who's on Zoom or Skype or Google Meets or whatever it is, at all times, God is with us.
Amen.
So that's the beautiful thing. Yeah.
And he's inside of us. When we accept Jesus into our hearts, the cool thing is that the resurrection power, the power that made the universe, the power that raised Lazarus from the dead, the miracle working power, that's inside of us.
Yeah.
And we just have to be there and we have to exercise our faith by speaking it, and when we do fall in times of worry or anxiousness, we need to show our faith by saying, I will not worry during this time. I will stay focused. And sometimes I do that in my car. I'm not going to worry about this. I'm not going to worry about this. God is my strength. And, the person in the right lane is like, who's that guy talking to?
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to say it out loud.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Very important.
Totally. Well, Mr. White, I want to thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. This was fun.
This was a lot of fun. I love Christmas. Well, okay, no, I'm not going to lie. I become like a big Scrooge. And
the Grinch?
The Grinch around Christmas time. Mrs. Carozzo can tell you all about it because she's like, why are you like this? And so the white men, they make breakfast on Christmas morning.
Yes.
The Carozzo men, we tend to just be really grumpy about it because all we're doing, and I have to send a message back at myself, being present in the moment. All I tend to do, and all my father tends to do, and I think my brother too, we think about, we got to bring the Christmas tree down from the attic.
Yeah.
After we set it up, then we got to put the box somewhere.
Yep.
So with little kids, we're not doing real trees. We're doing fake, just in case. But eventually we'll go back to real trees. So that was another fun thing. One last thing. Every Sunday after Thanksgiving, the Carozzo family would go out and we'd cut down a real tree.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I would love to continue that. But back to the Grinch. All we're thinking about is like all the work that we need to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get really, really grumpy.
Yeah, I get it.
And then I see my daughter's smiling face, and I'm like,
totally worth it.
Maybe. Anyway, all right. So as always, guys, Mr. White's here for you. I'm here for you. I know every single one of your other teachers are here for you. Focus on the good. Focus on the great things that are happening around us. Focus on those new memories that you get to make this year, because no other year is going to look like this year, hopefully. And, just remember them with a smile and go, you know what? If your cousins, if your parents, if your grandparents need to look like the Teletubby this year in order to see people, you're not alone.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah. We love you guys.
We do.
We love you guys. And whenever, whenever you're feeling down or whenever you want to, start feeling bad about anything, just see how you can serve another person and be there for other people. And I guarantee you, God will give you a pick me up. He will never leave you or forsake you.
Yeah. Share it no matter what. A joy shared is doubled and a pain shared is cut in half. So share it no matter what it is. All right,
awesome.
Guys. So thank you again, and we'll see you all soon.
Take care, guys. God bless.